Good evening, everyone. This is the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Commissioners in attendance this evening: Jenna Maya as member, George Bacon as member, Jessica Gino, member clerk, Mark Phillips, vice chair, myself, John Schmallenberger as chair, Heather Hampson as conservation agent. Welcome to all of you and everyone else. Do we have confirmation of agenda?
I have one item to add to the agenda, and that's just a discussion with, in regards to Air Solar 2 and the erosion controls to be removed.
Where do you want to add that?
We can add that after the DMG order of conditions issuing of that.
Okay. Under the DMG.
Yeah, the continued public hearing.
Right before updates.
Oh, yeah. Right before?
Yeah, right before updates.
Okay. Solar 2. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Passes unanimously. Next item is the approval of the meeting minutes for September 28th, 2023. Is that date correct? This time?
Yes, it is. I verified it this time.
Everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes
Just now.
just now?
Just now.
Need a few more minutes?
No.
Any changes, comments?
Yes. We, second bullet under Beaver proposal. Just do the right commas / dots, periods on the number. Sorry, 2290 20 or is it 2,290.00?
Oh,
Oh, this,
Yeah.
That's all I got.
any other discussion about the minutes? All in favor, or is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes for September 28th, 2023 as amended?
Corrected.
Correct.
Corrected. Yeah, it really emphasizes that I committed a
Egregious error.
egregious error.
And you so moved it, and
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Public input. This is the time in our meeting for anyone out there who's not on our agenda that would like to make a comment or ask a question. Now's the time. Okay. We shall move on. Our first item this evening is a request for determination of applicability, Air Department of Public Works, Barnum Road over Bowers Brook. Proposed rehabilitation of the existing bridge. Are you the representatives?
Yes.
Could you join us, please?
Hello, my name is Oksana Fartushna. I'm a project scientist with Green International Affiliates.
Could I ask a favor, please?
Yes.
Could you spell that for Jess,
Oh,
please, for the minutes?
It's gonna be a long one, yes. First name, O-X-A-N-A. Last name, F as in Frank,
Okay.
A-R, T as in Thomas, U, S as in Sam, H as in Ham, N as in Nancy, A-Y-A.
Wow.
You've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, usually I do like, on the phone I do every single letter, first and
Yeah.
last name. And here with me is,
I'm Ripal Shah. I'm with the Green International. I'm a structural project manager for this project.
Also, again, Spell your-
First name R as in Robert, I as in Ivan, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, L as in Larry. Last name Shah, S as in Sam, H as in Harry, A as in Apple, H as in Harry.
And you're both with Green International?
Yes.
Okay.
welcome.
thank you.
Would you tell us a bit about your project?
Yes, we're here on behalf of the Town of Ayer DPW. Actually, I'm not sure if everyone can see it from here, or should I move it a little bit this way?
Thank you.
Yes, so we brought this one figure. You probably have the rest of them, but this one is the resource areas, which is important. So yes, the subject bridge is located on Barnum Road over Bowers Brook, and under the scope of this project, which is a town's project, we propose the rehabilitation of this bridge. The rehabilitation of the bridge includes basically minor repair to the deck and the sidewalk slab and the sidewalk, and the approach work was only limited to 10 to 15 feet on each side of the bridge. We are not proposing any work on the substructure of the bridge. There's going to be no work in the water. And the resource area on site, just a quick overview, as you can see, we have the bank of the Bowers Brook. We have the adjacent wetlands here. We have the riverfront area. We have buffer zones. Basically, we are filing this request for determination of applicability because the work under this project is limited to buffer zones and riverfront area only. We're not proposing any work within the floodplain associated with the brook. We're not proposing any work in wetlands, inland underwater. And the proposed minor repair activities, we believe they are minor in nature and temporary and will not negatively impact adjacent resource areas and the interests of the Act. Did I forget something? Yes, and we believe that this falls under exemption from the local bylaw as well for the activities necessary to maintain the existing lawfully located structure within buffer zones and riverfront area.
Can you tell us what you're going to be doing to the bridge?
Yes, I'm going to ask Ripple to provide
Yes, so
details on that one.
Basically, the existing bridge is a concrete bridge. So what we noticed during the field visit that there are some cracks, some spalls, some exposed reinforcing. So we will propose a repair method for repairing those areas and bring up the capacity up to its original design level. So we are in the process of preparing the contract documents at this moment, identifying all the defects area within the bridge. That includes the existing deck, the sidewalk, the superstructure, which are the concrete girders in this case. So we'll identify this area and then we will propose a repair and then we'll submit the documents to the town for the bidding process.
Okay, so minor stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty minor. I mean, it's common for this kind of bridges, yes.
And there's going to be sidewalks going to be made.
Right, I mean, we will maintain the sidewalk because the contractor basically will work on phase construction. So he will have one side of the bridge occupied and he will put his equipment on the bridge while maintaining the traffic on the other side. So the sidewalk will be open for the pedestrians, yes.
And is the sidewalk being changed at all?
No, we'll just, again, like I said, it's just being repaired, basically.
Oh.
So,
Mill and overlay.
so the roadway is mill and overlay, and the sidewalk, which are the concrete sidewalk on the bridge, those will be again just a repair.
Okay. I thought I read today that it was going to be made ADA.
On the approaches, right.
Yeah.
On the approaches,
Just
there are existing sidewalk. So what we will do is we'll remove the existing sidewalk and rebuild a new one that will comply with the ADA standards.
Gotcha. Okay.
How are you removing the old sidewalk? Is it jackhammer?
No, we are not going to remove completely.
Okay.
We are just removing the portion that has a spalls on it.
Okay.
So we can either use like a jackhammer or we can use like a vibratory hammer.
Yes.
So not to damage the surrounding area, and then we'll demolish that portion, make sure we'll have good sound concrete underneath it, and then we'll patch it basically.
Okay, so the expectation is that you're not going to break through
No.
the sidewalk, exposing to the water below?
No,
Okay.
no. The
Okay.
bridge is not that in bad shape that we have to do extensive repair on it. It's just some random minor locations, around it. So I'm not expecting to drill all the way through it, onto the existing sidewalk. So.
Okay. What sort of guarantees are there that it won't go through?
Because we did our field visit and we identified that the deterioration is not extensive, that that does not require removal of the whole sidewalk, or it does not require to go throughout it. So when we prepare the documents, we prepare the specs, and within the specs we will have some kind of a language for the contractor not to demolish or not to have make a drill or a hole all throughout the sidewalk, something like that.
So where are the cracks that you said that were identified?
Excuse me?
Where are the cracks?
So there are some, we will submit the report right now. We are working on preparing the report. So there are some random cracks, so like a hairline cracks onto the sidewalk or the underside of the deck or onto the beam. So those cracks are not really structural cracks. Those are just the temperature and shrinkage hairline cracks. So what we will propose is we'll propose some kind of a concrete penetrant around it to seal those cracks,
Okay. But usually when you're doing that, you typically grind the crack, make it a little bit more so that whatever sort of epoxy or whatever you're putting in
Right.
actually seals and adheres to it.
Correct.
And so in doing that, you just indicated, you said that some of the cracks are on the underside.
Right.
So on the underside, there will be the potential for dropping debris and such into the water, correct?
Right, so at that moment, we will propose a temporary shielding under the bridge so that anything that they remove from the bridge does not drop into the water. So we'll
Okay.
propose something.
Great, thank you.
Any questions, Jim?
Nope.
Jess?
Nope.
George?
So you're going to use the same sort of temporary shielding when you're repairing the concrete posts?
Concrete post?
Yeah,
Existing post and.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, those are on the bridge rail, yes. So we propose
Also, you've got a concrete pier cap to be patched and repaired?
concrete pier cap as well, yes. I mean, we didn't notice a lot of deterioration under the cap, so there are some couple of minor locations around it, so it shouldn't be a big deal for the pier cap.
Maybe just a manual application of something.
Right, manual applications of the concrete, repair concrete,
Heather? You good? Mm-hmm. Any other discussion? Anybody want to go out there and take a look?
Seems relatively uninvasive.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other discussion before we hop on this?
So the road surface is just going to be ground up like typical, taking it down a couple inches and resurfacing?
and yes, mill and overlay.
Milling, okay.
Mill and overlay.
So not full depth.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
not full depth, yes.
Okay. No, I think I'm good.
You good?
Thanks.
Is there a motion to issue a negative determination? Air Department of Public Works, Barnum Road over Bower Brooks project?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? You all know the drill, right? 10 days, and if you don't hear anything, you're good to go.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
No, he's just saying that I just haven't read them in a while because they've been on my desk and I keep forgetting. I'm supposed to
Night.
be progressives and I'm refusing. Like, these work fine. I have to.
should have a document burning party some night, you know? Just burn all this stuff.
I know where.
I know, I was gonna say there's a bonfire.
Thank you. That's done.
I didn't get one.
By choice.
So we want to do that air solar too?
No, we'll move on to, yeah, we're gonna move on to the order of conditions for, DEP file number 100-0485, 205 West Main Street.
All right,
I sent those out to everyone. Did you review them, or do you want a copy of them now?
I looked at them.
Okay. The only two items were added, outside of what the general special conditions are. The template were in regards to the signage that was noted in the minutes. Thank you, Jess, for putting that in there, so I remember the special notes were for the salt and the no dumping signs prior to the issuing of order certificate of compliance.
Did we have to adjust for the secondary?
No, in the erosion control section, it just stated in there that we can request whatever we feel is needed in any area. I can review that, it is in there. And I did send them to Drew yesterday afternoon for his review. I didn't hear anything, but yeah, in regards to the erosion control, it is in there. Number 19, the commission or its agents may require the applicant to employ additional erosion controls as they see reasonably deemed necessary.
Should we state them though?
What?
Should we go ahead and state them now?
State them
or-
now that in the TOA slope,
Yeah,
that we want to have a double line.
yes.
I mean, when I go out and inspect it, we can't, I think once it's cleared and we're looking at it, it would be a different scenario.
You're comfortable with that?
That's just, I'd rather be on the ground, like looking up at it
Okay.
to see than to state that it needs to be there and then not need to be. I figured that condition seemed to be reasonable enough because then we can add it anywhere we need to.
Okay, just as long as it doesn't hold things up later on, it's.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
I don't think so.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Thanks.
So we should probably open this up officially.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get too far into it. Our next item this evening is the continued public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0485, 201 to 205 West Main Street. We'll open this public hearing under the Wetlands Protection Act and also under the Air Wetlands bylaws. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Drew Garvin from Bowler, civil engineer for the project. I also have with me Kean Hamill from DMG Investments, who is the applicant.
Can you spell that name?
Kean, C-I-A-N.
Okay.
You got to remember how many M's and L's there are.
Hamill.
I almost always put two M's and one L. I mess it up every time. If you remember, I was here a couple weeks ago, as Heather kind of touched on. We answered any questions, and Heather was good enough to draft this order. We did not have any issues with it. So we're hoping if everything's in order, you're ready to close and wrap it up.
Everyone had an opportunity to look at the orders?
I had a question or two.
Go for it.
All right, one was, George, did you envision multiple signs for the no salt for future generations, or?
I don't know.
To be determined.
Okay.
And then the other thing was, hadn't we discussed some sort of provision on inspecting after snow events?
Oh, yes.
Say that again,
Yeah.
please. I didn't hear what you said.
Inspecting after snow events,
That's
at least
right.
initially for...
Yeah, I can add that under ongoing maintenance? That would be where that should go?
Yeah.
Are we doing it just for the first year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that, so, for the first
Yeah.
year after large snow events, the commission office will be notified for inspection.
I don't know if you have to be notified, just that
Just they'll go, okay.
Yeah, it's like
Commissioner-
usually pretty apparent
Commission-
there's snow.
Or agent. Will, I know, I'm trying to think,
Yeah.
will,
Plowable snow in it?
yeah, plowable snow,
Just to,
Just define when the 1 year starts.
yeah.
that's good. Like completion of project or
Certificate
paving?
of occupancy.
What if it snows before then? And
Yeah, because as it usually states, usually you have all your pavement, especially with this project, you're gonna have all your pavement done, and then they're gonna build up. So,
So there you go.
so would it be?
That's why we're going to define
so
it.
would it be,
because we all
would it be the
have different
first year of plowable
impressions.
snow? Because if it's not plowing, then it wouldn't make a difference, right? If they're just doing,
wow, if they're building.
I mean, you plow, I don't think you'd plow the whole parking lot, depending on how many people are there.
What about from start of construction through 1 year following certificate of completion?
Okay.
There, we got it all covered. Thank you.
This is why we have George to the end.
Why are you sitting there?
You took over.
Oh, my. Are you gentlemen okay with those corrections
Yep,
or
got it.
additions? Okay.
We will add that. I
Anything
will add
else?
that one item. Not a big deal.
So where are you with the other boards?
We just met with planning board on Tuesday. We are still in the midst of permitting with them, and that's ongoing. So we still have some issues to resolve with them to satisfy their approvals. We're all done with ZBA. Otherwise, as we talked about before, we did the flood overlay application about a month ago now. So I think we're done with the ZBA until further notice, but it's just the planning that remains, planning board that remains.
And that's not going to affect us.
Right. That's correct. If anything were to, we would come back as appropriate, but no, as of this time, I don't anticipate any changes that affects the application that you guys are reviewing.
So no major impacts to parking quantity, parking spot quantity or whatever?
Not at this moment, no. Parking is one of the issues we need to resolve, but it's not, we're applying for it as designed right now, so.
Anything else? Okay. Is there a motion to approve and issue the orders of conditions? DEP file number 100-0485, 201 to 205 West Main Street.
As amended.
As amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Drew, do you want me to send these to your office, the original, or do you want me to send them?
Because they need to be recorded.
They need to be recorded.
If you, what depends who you want to record it.
Tom, our attorney Tom.
Tell me now begins,
Yes.
okay.
We're
They
down,
just,
yeah.
it just saves time for me to know now.
Sure.
Thank you. I sure do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we closing this?
Yes.
Okay. So what do they do if they come back?
So like they said, the last meeting, basically what they presented to us is the most extent of what they would do to the property. So if they were to come back, it would actually be less impact to the wetlands if the project were to change. So that's why we were going forward with it.
All right.
I mean, if anything, too, the order is good for 3 years with the idea of you can extend it. So if anything were to change and they need to go back and redesign their plans and they still have at least 3 years from tomorrow when I mail these out, to complete the project or at least get it started without asking for an extension, so.
Okay. All righty. Any other discussion before we close her out? Motion to close the public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0485, 201 to 205 West Main Street.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Air Solar 2. Good evening.
Hey, nice to see you all again.
Good to see you too.
Couldn't
Coffee one broke? Go for it.
this in color.
We didn't want people to stay too long.
If I can turn these off, otherwise I get a nasty glare.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Barry.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
I don't,
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
couldn't get it to
Thank
print,
you.
so.
That's what I remember.
I couldn't get it to print, and I can drew it, but this makes it easy. Everything in red is the request to remove the erosion controls.
That's all I brought, so
Yeah,
nice work.
you're welcome. They did remove it at the outlet of this stream crossing, and everything, even with the rains we've had, is flowing through beautifully. Everything else, as far as the exterior that you show here, all the work is basically been completed. The vegetation has grown. The only items that the vegetation hasn't made it quite to that 70% is the drainage swale and basin at this corner, but there is quite a bit of vegetation all through here that's growing up that wouldn't cause any issues with, or it's up in here. With removing, yeah, up in here. With
site.
removing with removing this, it wouldn't cause anything.
Right, and the site is graded to direct runoff into those areas of
Yeah.
non-vegetation
Yeah,
prior.
it's the only, yeah, it's just in that last basin. Everything else is technically outside of the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction, going all up in this back corner anyway. Our jurisdiction ends right around in here, right through here. So, that's it. Site looked decent yesterday, so. But yeah, I couldn't quite remember where we left it at the last meeting, so I just wanted the commission to be aware that the request had come in for the removal of the erosion controls, where exactly was they were going to moving it, and ensure that you didn't want to make any sort of, go out and see it before we allowed them to remove it. I'm almost positive it was fine, but I just wanted to just double check and bring it to the meeting.
We got feedback from Rihanna Summers.
Yeah, she's fine with it too.
I just want to put that in.
Yeah, no,
minutes.
Rihanna's fine with the removal. It will stay on the south side of the crossing because there is still paving that needs to go through here. So we have, the erosion controls will stay on this side.
Could I just speak to that?
Yeah,
real
you
quick?
can, please
So
do.
right where the cursor is
Yes,
from Washington Street, where the cursor is, and then as you see the first, do you mind if I steal the?
yeah, no, please do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So from Washington Street here up until the first replication area, the pavement stops at about Station 250, which is right here. I know you've heard it before, I've heard it before, but I actually have a text saying it's supposed to happen tomorrow morning, but the paving is imminent. So we were leaving in this section of erosion control here, being that we were going to be paving up gradient of it. The section from the tip of the replication area number 1 to the tip of replication area number 2, which turned out to basically be the southern side of the, we'll call the gap. That was, I believe, modified after some discussions with you and Rihanna on site relative to being adjacent to the retaining wall. There has not been official sign off of the retaining wall from the building department. So I'm guessing that theory is generally, if something needs to happen, we would need to either reinstall the erosion control or just leave what's there. So we're going through Rohit's going through the paperworks and emails and hoops to get that final sign off. But there's no work currently proposed up gradient. We're not aware of any remedial action that's needed or anything like that for the wall itself. As Heather stated, the rest of it is basically the balance of the property. So I wanted to talk mostly about the red line, but I also wanted to kind of prevent coming back again. I mean, I like seeing you guys, but I'd like to see less of you, sorry. What's that?
We've got candy.
Yeah, there's candy.
Oh, I didn't know, I wasn't here for that, sorry. Bring my son next time. So, you know, I wanted to get on the table, afloat the idea of there's 2 sections that are waiting for something to happen. One, paperwork being signed off, the second being paving. I don't want to come back and have those removed once those are complete. So I'd like the commission to weigh in on with the vegetation in that area being established and just being left in place till the work is complete, whether or not, once that work is complete, we can remove that and get your opinion and or vote and approval now for it. I will say that in my initial email, per the order of conditions, it says that the erosion control within the resource area, which is essentially the northern tip of wetland replication area 1 to the southern tip of wetland replication area 2, both the straw wattles and hay bales, per the condition, need to be removed fully. So that's fine, no big deal. We certainly want to get in that before it freezes. Which leads me to something that I did via email today, which I believe may be on the next meeting agenda.
Yeah, be on the next agenda, and I was gonna mention that during the updates.
So we filed for a request for an extension of the order of conditions. The order of conditions expires, I believe, the 23rd of November this year. We're not proposing to do any work. Again, I know you've heard it before, and it's supposed to happen tomorrow morning, but as far as the touch-ups of erosion and things like that, the majority of the actual work, boots on the ground, should be done tomorrow, if, I'm just gonna say next week, just to give myself a buffer. What we're asking to do is extend the order of conditions 1 year, just a nice round 1 year, just to allow us to continue to monitor the replication area and address anything that we need to in the spring, just as those areas germinate. It's nice to do it under the same permit rather than, try and get into conversations that we just don't want to. So we submitted that request today, which we wanted to make sure we talked about it and get it in today, just to be proper and be 1 month, more than a month prior to it expiring. Your next hearing is on the 26th, technically within a month, but there's no hard deadline to it. So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Sure, I'll keep going.
Keep going.
So, now, based on the general acceptance of the red line, I didn't hear any yays or nays or anything like that. The next immediate question that we have is, there's weekly inspections by the erosion control monitor, and those erosion controls are going to be removed.
What are they gonna monitor?
That's right. So,
We still got the pavement thing going on.
well, we just still do have the pavement. Now, again, that happens tomorrow. I can certainly understand, next week, something like that. But again, with no erosion controls in place, we'd like to stop paying to have those gone and walked around.
So after next week?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that would be the next one. Now,
Oh, keep an eye on
see, this is kind of the catch-22, right? We're all saying that it's established enough to remove the erosion control. So if they're there in 2 weeks because the contractor hasn't mobilized to remove them or something like that, well, do we still need to inspect them? So I'd like to tie it to the work being done of the paving and the sign off of the wall, and no outstanding work other than, mowing and general maintenance and stormwater inspections and things like that. But I guess I've been in this position to know that I don't get what I want all the time, so I'm kind of stating this as a conversation starter.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
And from a practical, straight-faced standpoint, we want to remove the erosion control. We think it's stabilized, but at the same time, I'm not asking for a certificate of compliance. I'm asking for an extension. So I understand the differing standpoints. So just wanted to throw that out to start the conversation about those 3 items. And certainly, I can keep talking. You guys know me, but I'd rather have you guys ask the questions.
What do you think about that, George? Not inspecting the erosion controls if they're not necessary?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we need to have one final inspection after they're removed.
So my suggestion was, I would still go out and monitor the site. Might not be weekly, but just a periodic standpoint, just to verify that everything is still stable. Obviously, after the erosion controls would be removed, I would want to inspect it, or at least myself, if not Rihanna as well from Epsilon, to go out. Just my concern, because it's all grown in. Once I don't know what detriment it's going to happen when we move it, because I don't know what's growing in and around and under and through. So it could very well be nothing and be, within a day, because the growing season with all the rain we've had and 1 or 2 warm days, things are growing within a day. It's crazy out there. So I don't know what's going to happen once it gets taken out. I think that's what my concern is. I don't think anything, but I just would appreciate that an inspection would have happened after they're removed and within a week, I think, after that, especially with the amount of rain storms we have every week, or chance of them, that would occur. And then,
So there's a lot of ifs.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, she's absolutely right. How we get in to remove and the effort needed to remove the hay bales if they actually, we know a certain section needs to come out on the balance. I think a minimum of 1 inspection after to see, how it's taken up. I think that's reasonable. I don't have a problem with it. The question is just, we are going to come up to a point where, unfortunately, our security blanket of the last 6 years of working on and monitoring and things like that, it's going to be closed out. So, we need to start kind of accepting that the permit's going to get closed out eventually and go from there. And then that's the next the follow-up question that I have is the closeout of the permit. With the work done and once it's stabilized, even in the detention basin in the solar array up here, as Heather pointed out, there's still a minimum of 1 year monitoring on the replication areas.
yeah.
So there is a site plan requirement and things like that. Rohit would probably want to close out any bonds, covenants, things like that they have with them, which would require us a construction record plan. We can certainly do a construction record plan. Would the commission want to issue a partial certificate waiting on the replication, or would they want to leave it open in its entirety? And that kind of ties into the extension request of if we extend it a year in the replication area, I don't really see a reason why it would take a left turn.
My only question that I asked for Heat last time he was on site, I can't find the red maples that are out there, and we're waiting for Oxbow's report on that. I don't know if they made it or not.
So, that's the one question. But again, if I believe that inspection's due right around now, right?
Yeah, it was
September,
1 year.
October.
Yeah, it was around the end of October that those went in.
So if we extend 1 year and leave it fully open, we find we would be in the same position next year of, okay, we gotta plant some more plants, and we would wanna then have another conversation of, we haven't done anything to the rest of the development, we want a partial, and then extend it and go from there. I think that's reasonable, and then that way you don't have to do the paperwork, we don't have to record it, there's not all that fun stuff. So, I know, he thought it was just gonna be one question, and then I showed up. So, yes, sir.
So just to clarify all the stuff you said.
Yep.
So you want to take the red stuff out,
Yep.
but from one end of the replication to the other end of the other replication, that is already out? Or is
No.
it not?
No, that's.
No, sorry. I wanted to clarify. So per the order,
Yeah.
the hay bales need to be removed in their entirety along with the silt fence.
Yep.
Outside of, from this tip to this tip, there is always an option of being the biodegradable straw, wattles, things like that, to cut the twine and broadcast what's available there to let it biodegrade. That's not an option per the order within those areas.
Okay.
So we want to remove the red, and we're going to be relying on Rihanna's opinion and the contractor about, the amount of effort needed to remove or broadcast and break up those straw bales. Some of them have deteriorated so much, it may be very much like dirt, coming down, and then we might be able to move things around.
In the red area?
In the red area.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
just the red area, yes.
Okay.
And we will come to a point of, if we have to disturb a 5-foot swath along the entire erosion control to remove it,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to make sense. It's penny wise and pound foolish, and it makes more sense to broadcast and spread it out.
Okay.
So the entire red, this area is still to be determined whether or not everything gets removed. Silt fence, out. Hay bales may be able to be broadcast. On top of it, even though it's not highlighted, there's two sections from Washington to the tip, the northern tip of replication area 1,
Right.
that would be red, in that it would be up to, on-site conditions on whether or not the hay bales would be removed. And that section is waiting on the paving.
Right.
Then from the northern replication area to the second replication area, that area is waiting on the sign off of the retaining wall, and that will be removed in its entirety once the retaining wall is signed off.
Okay, yep, all right. I thought you wanted to take all the red and the retaining wall sections off, or out, like now, like get approval for that, and then just wait on the Washington Street by the pavement stuff till after that gets done, but, okay, now I got you.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
I made the request that we leave the erosion
Yeah.
controls by the retaining wall just because it hasn't received a final inspection yet.
So, yes, ideally, a contractor would be removing these tomorrow with your approval tonight.
Right.
Practically, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that, he's in the wings waiting to do so. But yes, the red ones would come out as soon as possible.
When you stated that it would be almost like a game time decision on whether or not all the hay bales are removed, will there be somebody on site, like whether Brianna or myself, making that decision, or is it something the contractor's gonna do?
Based on what the contractor's done so far, I mean, he's been underneath that culvert with his hands and knees doing that, and by hand, he can do a lot of things by hand.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, because you
Yeah.
said it would be like basically,
So a game time decision more, I'm thinking more of this area adjacent to the gap,
yeah,
where you got 6-foot plants growing out of the hay bales.
Yeah.
Is probably going to be easier to try and broadcast that.
yeah, the only issue when you get to that section is everything there, that's all wetland
Yeah.
there. So I just have an issue, I just be concerned with putting that much hay down in the wetland. Whereas when you go further to the upland side, where you're further out of the, not actually in an actual wetland, you're more in the buffer zone, that being less of a concern.
Right. So now when you come up and you're in near the clearing up here and things aren't growing in it, well, then it makes more sense to broadcast it
Yeah.
because things aren't growing in it.
Yeah, and that's
So-
the right of way anyway.
So that's kind of what I mean by the game time decision of if they cut the twine, how much are they going to hack it up or need to hack it up to actually spread out the hump of the hay or the degraded hay.
Yeah, but if nothing's growing in it, why would you just remove it?
If nothing's growing in it, why would you remove it?
No, why
Just
would you just not remove it? Just why broadcast it? Just take it with you. Go, take it.
Because it's still weighed down. It's still degraded from a standpoint of hay is degraded over the rain and the snow and things like that. So,
Okay.
and then to carry that much material out now that we have a fence and access and things like that, you would want a dingo or some other machinery now trouncing across that vegetation.
That's what I'm just saying. I'm just wondering, in what places are we going to broadcast it? What places are we going to leave it? Who's making that decision? Because I feel like in some areas is a little more sensitive than others to do that. Some bales are more deteriorated than others and might only be like this high. So it's
I
a
would-
section, like
I would
place by
defer
place.
to Rihanna, then.
Okay.
She's the one who's been walking and is familiar with it and can kind of further identify areas. It's, the option is available in the order, outside of course, the replication area.
Will she be contacted on the day of so that she can come out and make that decision?
Sure. Yeah, we don't have a problem. Don't have either that or prior, Again, we get the okay today and we can certainly coordinate her to offer her opinion, next Wednesday or whatever day is scheduled and pass that on to the contractor to identify it or paint it in the field as far as, remove, broadcast, that kind of thing, that scenario.
And the silt fences all come out, right?
All come out.
Okay.
And any twine
I
that's
remember
left
we-
gets taken out.
Because I remember on that one hill there, we kind of found a bunch of buried garbage.
Yeah.
So,
Then the orange fence as well.
Yeah, the snow fence will come out on the upper
Yep.
side, Madigan Lane side.
okay.
It just got transferred over by Deere anyway.
And I would ask Rihanna to offer her opinion from the Washington to the replication area as well. Again, in anticipation, once the paving's done, that it be removed and we know how it's gonna be removed.
Agreed. So
Such.
that'd be good.
Yeah, it's a steep hill. Okay.
Anything else?
No, I'm scratching the bottom of the barrel myself. So, didn't know if we could just reiterate everything. I know you've been just hearing me ask the questions, but okay with the red as you see it, provided Rihanna offers opinions of any sensitive areas that
Exactly.
would be preferred to be removed rather than broadcast.
Correct.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
That would also include the Washington to the replication area, not to be removed until after the paving is done.
And approval of the
Retaining wall.
retaining wall.
We'll get into that
After
one.
sign.
Oh, I thought you said it all
Yeah.
together. Okay, yeah, yes, go.
Yep.
Everyone good with that?
Okay with that?
Yes.
The third would be the removal of the section adjacent to the retaining wall within the stretch between replication area 1 and 2 to be removed completely. And that would be removed once the retaining wall is signed off on.
Yep.
Does that need Rihanna's loop?
By the building. No, that would help. All that hay would have to be removed because that is the wetland. That is the resource area.
Okay.
So that it'll have to be removed.
Okay,
In my opinion, that is where the wetland is.
right.
But that's
I
easy.
want to be broadcasting.
Well,
That part's easier to get to.
that part's easier to get to.
Yeah.
Not easy to get out of, but it's easy to get to
Yeah.
because there's a retaining wall there.
And it's at least a little smaller,
Shorter area.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a shorter area than.
and it's on the road.
Everyone's okay with that?
Yes.
The next one would be that once the sections or all of the sections are removed in their entirety, we offer at least one more inspection 1 week after,
Yeah.
approximately a week after. So if it happens on Tuesday, it would be the Wednesday and then the following Wednesday. Is that,
With
you're
a.
not gonna have 1 day, it defeats the purpose of what I think you discussed. So we would remove the erosion control and then the monitoring would cease
With the
1
environmental
week
monitor.
after.
After the final inspection. 1 week.
Erosion controls would come out 1 week afterwards. The environmental monitor will go out for her final inspection.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that'll be the end of it.
And that'll be of theirs, yes.
Yep.
I would request that I would still probably go out after the fall, winter season, beginning of the spring melt, just to verify.
You want to go out in the spring melt?
Yeah. Winters do weird things on sites,
Oh, yeah.
but we can discuss that when we do the extension next meeting.
Okay. Moving forward?
I would like to not come to the next meeting.
I
know, weird, right?
Because we just got the request today, it has to be put on the agenda for a formal vote. If you all don't see the need for Nick to come back, I don't see it being necessary especially since I will have been out on site at least one other time since then to verify whatever work has been done or not done on site. And I can always, or you can have Rohit send an email with any sort of update prior to that meeting.
Okay.
But that's
I'm
entirely up
okay
to the
with that.
commission.
Everybody else okay with that?
We're getting a full agenda.
What's that?
So we have 2 applications for that agenda.
Assuming that you don't see anything on your visit.
Unless I don't see anything, assuming I don't see anything on my visit. But it's a request for an extension, so if I see anything on the visit and they're just extending it, that's better than having it expire.
Sure.
And still having work need to be done.
Okay. All good?
I think so. You guys all good?
Who does the
Then there
final
was just the-
inspection on the replication areas and the growth?
That would, it's a report from Oxbow.
Okay. So we would expect to see that?
Yeah, we should be getting one hopefully relatively soon, but we've been asking for that. I know he's been asking for that, and then we'd get a final one for next year for the end of the second growing season.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was
Yeah.
more concerned about the second growing season.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just worried about the first one because, yeah, I said that the red maples that were planted where he couldn't find the actual size that were needed. Remember, we allowed him to plant smaller ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know if just all the grass and stuff has grown up and I just can't see them because I don't want to tramps through there and accidentally step on something I shouldn't be. Or if they just didn't make it because they were so tiny. So I just want to verify that those red maples are survived or not, but I haven't seen the report because that's the only question I have on there. Because everything else, all the ferns are fine. The white pines, I think that were planted are fine. Just the red maples I can't see.
All right.
So do we have to vote on all those?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Then the last thing you mentioned was a partial COC, which you'd have to submit
Yes.
request.
It'd be next year. The only comment I have on that.
Wouldn't be this year.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, and the only comment I have on that is it doesn't state anything in the special road conditions in regards to a partial. It just states that after 2 growing seasons, the certificate of compliance won't be issued until the completion of 2 growing seasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's if just being a stickler for words or if it can be brought in to say partial or not.
Yeah, so a lot of times with the replication, there's things that tied up that, contracts and agreements and things, but basically, if there's anything that physically needs to be changed, we would want to know about it. So a lot of times a construction record is done once most of the trades are gone, and just leaving the replication monitoring so that we can get a snapshot of the way that it is. And as I mentioned, the planning board have a site plan requirement and covenant and bonds and things like that. So we'll probably have a construction record, the same one that we would sit on for a year or submit to you. I'm fine with leaving it open, but sometimes lawyers and applicants want to push for partial, so we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, kind of thing.
So there's no issuance it now? Yeah.
No request for it now either.
No.
Just
We'll discuss the request for extension next meeting, but
Okay.
we'll do that vote then.
And then you'll come to see us later on.
I'm sure there'll be another application.
Okay.
Always fun.
There's a bunch of, phone calls and service agreements, and then those usually take a little bit, and then we come and see you, so we'll be seeing you.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Have a great night. Happy holidays if I don't see you.
Same with you.
You too.
It's getting close to that time, all right?
Okay. All right. Conservation Office updates.
Yes, so I'll try to make this brief because unfortunately I do need to try to get out of here as close to 8 as I can. We had the Newton Street Festival on Sunday. Mark was kind enough to sit with me for a couple hours. It went very well, I think. Met some new residents of town that had just moved here from out of state. So they hadn't been aware of whatever invasive and native species we had. So handed out some brochures to them on that. Did hand out quite a few Pine Meadow trail maps. Got a couple more people to sign up for the land stewardship, so I'll be sending an email out for them next week.
You got 10.
Yeah, we got quite a few new ones, so that was good. It was a different group of people that were there, so that was nice and fun. On Friday, I attended the Society of Wetland Scientists New England chapter annual meeting and training, which was a lot of fun in Stowe. Learned about replication areas, the increase in wetland invasive species, aquatic invasive species, due to climate change. I talked quite a bit with the agent over in Harvard. She gave me a fun little tidbit of knowledge, of information that the DEP, supposedly, according to her, I got to clarify this with her and DEP in another location, is not renewing their drawdown permit for their water treatment. So I have to clear it because apparently, according to her, the DEP doesn't want to do that anymore. They don't want to see drawdowns for ponds for invasive species treatment. So I have to clarify that and double check with the Lake Shirley Commission, because they also do draw down on top of chemicals. So I just want to see if it's a one-town thing, if it's a whole regional thing, and I want to clarify with DEP as well. That's more to come on water treatments for invasives on that end. Since we had, I don't know if any of you were there, the Flanagan Pond feasibility study, all the questions are coming up on what is allowed on ponds and what's not as far as boats and restrictions. I've been trying to research that since kind of it's going to fall on our shoulders on that part. There are restrictions as far as great ponds go. I found restrictions for Sandy Pond and the Long Pond, but I can't find anything for any of the other streams or ponds or lakes that we have in town. From what I found out, what I did find through the state is the town can adopt rules and regulations for each one of its ponds. So if I searched the town code, I didn't find anything. I don't think anything's ever been put on the record. I do have a couple people that I've been told I can ask this to. So at town meeting on the 23rd, I'll see if I can find them and ask. If not, that might be something, I don't know if it has to go to a town meeting or if we can just adopt that, but that might be something we try to do in the spring or fall to try to create.
Limitations on great ponds?
Great ponds, it has to be over 75 acres to allow for personal watercraft, which would be jet skis as a whole definition for that. It just states more regulations as far as what watercrafts are available and how far out from shore they need to be.
Well, that's what I wondered. It's like,
Yeah, because it all came up because of the it all came up because of the
People
feasibility study, and then I had a gentleman asking if he could use not a jet ski. It is a jet ski, but it's not a jet ski on Sandy Pond, and I found the state's definition for personal watercraft, and whatever he has falls on that definition, and it's basically how it's propelled, which apparently, according to him, some boats are that too, but I'm like, I'm just telling you what the state definition is. I can't help you beyond that. So there's that. So that's something we might have to be looking at and working on over the winter for the spring if we can, if that's to go to town meeting or not. What else? Oh, I went to, on Tuesday morning, MAPC did a municipal statewide partnership conference, but one of the workshops was on climate action plans. So I attended that one because that was really interesting, and had Martha's Vineyard, town of Natick, and City of Springfield with going over their climate action plans. So that was really interesting and neat, and how to do outreach and how that all works out. And so that was a whole thing, and that was interesting to go to. That is about it. It's been kind of busy. There's been more phone calls. We do have an application for 71 Sandy Pond Road for the next meeting. It's a notice of intent for 2 duplexes on one address that is gonna, we're still trying to figure out the zoning. It's gonna be going to the ZBA too. So Jess, you'll see it on that end in November.
Where is that one?
71 Sandy Pond Road?
Yeah.
That is the lot almost adjacent from the town beach at the corner of Snake Hill.
Okay.
There was some issues with vehicles and junk parked in there.
Oh.
Site's been sold, property's been sold.
Oh, so that's where
It's all cleared
that's
out.
the basement that the signs were.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one's interesting because it has wetlands on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little narrow strip that's not, and they have 2 houses going in. Okay, so there's that, and then Catania may be coming in for a RDA for the oil water separator on their stormwater system. Just to have it in the records for us. And then we'll have, the extension for air solar too. Like I said, I got that request today and spoke to Nick at 10 o'clock this morning and told him that I'd put it on the agenda so we can have a formal vote on that at the next meeting.
Okay.
That's
Is
about
that it?
Yeah, besides the multiple phone calls, that's about it.
Jen, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Jess?
Nothing.
George?
No?
Mark?
John.
I went on a nice mushroom walk with Jonathan Krantz in Pine Meadow, which was really
Nice.
fascinating. He does it quite or every now and again. Highly recommend it. There was some beaver activity at the bridge between Sandy Pond and Flanagan's Pond, you know, that causeway?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the beavers damned it.
Damn it.
They did. And I was informed by a citizen who was kayaks every day, and he saw me and he said, it's like 5 inches higher, Sandy Pond, than Flanagan's Pond. And I called up Dan Van Chockwek at the DPW, and it's just a man-made structure, so
Just pull it.
just pull it out. He sent some guys down there like in 2 hours, and it was gone, and the water was flowing through there. It was coming through like crazy. Very cool to see. That's all I got.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
So we have a sensitive issue to talk about. The outcome might be affected negatively by discussion at public meeting, so
Want me to make the motion?
make a motion.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn from this meeting,
Open meeting.
adjourn from open meeting, to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exemption 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where such discussions may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the governmental body and a person, firm, or corporation were they to be held in open session. And then we would adjourn from executive session for the night.
For the night.
Yeah,
So not to return to open.
Not to return to
not to return.
open meeting. Okay. Do I hear, you made the motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. I have to do a roll. Ms. Amaya, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Gugino, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Bacon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Passes unanimous.